Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, and welcome to Nik's Comedy Clips. Just recently there's a lot of talk about gun control, guns being taken away from the public, and in fact, the president made a big speech about more gun laws. And every time there's a new gun law that is enacted, there are more guns sold in this country. Actually, there are more guns in this country than the population of the United States of America. But being a doctor, I'm concerned about guns in two different ways. One, gun kills people. Of course, they end up in the emergency room with gunshot wounds, and they are a major challenge to the medical profession. But I'm looking at it from a different point of view. As a doctor, how do you handle people walking around with guns? Now we have open gun law. That means you can carry a gun which is visible in public places. Just recently, I found out that, in fact, you can walk into a mental hospital with a gun in your pocket or a hip pocket or in a gun holster. Oh, wait a minute, just think about it. You're going into a mental hospital with a gun where all these lunatics are locked up behind the door. Talking about locking up behind the door, that reminds me of another story where both the psychiatrist, the shrink, and the shrink patients spend time behind locked doors. Except one of them has a hope. He or she has a chance to get out when the insurance runs out. Well, that's a totally different story. I'm talking about guns. People walking into a mental hospital with gun. Imagine, we are dealing with lunatics. We are dealing with crazy people. The crazy person whom you're going to see gets into an argument with you, and then he pulls your gun. Now we got a lunatic with a gun. The next thing what's going to happen is we're going to have a whole mental hospital held as hostage by this lunatic who got a gun from a visitor who carried the gun. Well, maybe he said that's too far-fetched. Okay, I can imagine that. Okay, imagine a patient at a checkout counter in a doctor's office. The receptionist says, Mr. James, we are looking at your account and you haven't paid your co-pays for the last 6 months, and you need to bring your account up to date. And imagine someone pulling his gun and putting it on the counter and saying, okay, let me see, how much do I owe? And the secretary gets scared and she runs to the doctor's office and explains the situation. She says, here's a man with a gun on my counter when I told him that he owes money. Now the doctor is looking at his computer and he comes out and he looks at the patient. Don't worry, pats him on his shoulder, says, there's a computer glitch, your account has zero balance. You don't owe us any money. I'll take care of the adjustments and all these things, don't worry. Then after he leaves, what you do is you send a registered mail to him telling him to find a new doctor, and you'll give him 30 days to find a new doctor. But I don't know if everybody carries gun, whether you can really follow that principle, but that's one option left for a doctor. What are you going to do? I mean, if somebody walks into your office with a gun and puts it on your checkout counter, since people can carry guns openly as they walk in and out of public places, and of course, doctor's office happens to be a public place where people come for a checkup and all these things. But imagine, I'm sitting there in my office and my secretary says, Dr. Nik, this patient wants to come and talk to you about his medical care that is being given to his grandmother. When should I set up the appointment? Well, that itself should be a tape-off. What if he's not satisfied with the medical care? What if he comes with a gun? What are you going to do? How are you going to protect yourself? You're not going to sit there with a gun in a consultation room. I mean, think about it. I mean, all these things run through your mind. You have to be prepared. And if a patient calls and says he is concerned about the care his grandmother is getting and he wants to come and talk to you, the best thing is tell your secretary that you're going to be out of town, out of the country for 4 weeks, and he can take her to the emergency room if there's an emergency. Now let's think of another scenario. People can walk around with guns, right? So they come into your office, a brand new patient. We have never seen this patient. That's another tip off. He comes in, he's sitting in the consultation room across the desk, and you're taking the history. After a few minutes, he pulls out his gun, he puts it on the table. He said, "Hey, what is this?" "Oh, don't worry about this, doc. It was too bulky in my pocket. I had to take it out and put it here, let it rest. Because I didn't want you to spend the whole hour looking at my pocket and see what kind of tumor I got." Then he's going to say, "Oh, don't worry about this, doc. This is not the same kind of gun I had when I visited the last doctor." "What do you mean? You had a gun when you visited the last doctor? What happened there?" "Oh, nothing serious. While he was examining my body, he squeezed my leg a little harder and the gun went off. Oh, I just got a little bruising. Nothing serious." That's funny. I mean, that's not funny for you or the patient or the... That's not funny for you or the doctor. Where were we? "Doc, we are sitting right here in your consultation room." Then I would say, here's the way out. Just tell him, "Mr. Keller, I have taken your history. I have examined you. It looks like your problem is much more complicated than what we can handle in our office. I'm going to refer you to a super specialist. He's only one in the city. So you need to go and see this super specialist. Here's his name, phone number, and the address." And the patient's going to say, "Are you sure, doc?" Then I would say, "I'm positive you'll be in good hands with this super specialist." Then the patient may say, "Thanks, Dr. Nick. Let's keep in touch." Then I will say, "Oh, thank you so much. Oh, don't forget your gun." Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching Nik Nikam's comedy clips. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, and until next episode, keep laughing. Enjoy the life. Don't worry about everything you hear about guns on the television. You just handle each situation as it comes the best way you can. See you next time. And please do subscribe to our YouTube channel here so we can bring you all these interesting video clips from time to time. Please visit our Facebook page, Nik Nikam Network, and like our page so we can keep you abreast of what's happening in and around Houston and from around the world. Until such time, this is Nik Nikam saying you bye.